So I appreciate you for tuning in to another Chris show, but you guys know why you're here, so let's get into it. Rap has a storied history at this point. That means there's been a lot of songs, there's been a lot of rappers, and with a lot of rappers, that means there's been a lot of bars spit. And with all these bars spit, we also are going to have some questionable rap lyrics over the years. So we are living in a politically correct America. What was acceptable in the 90s and the 2000s isn't necessarily what's acceptable in today's society. So when I was thinking of making this video, I wanted to keep that context in mind. Do I want to hold someone accountable for living in a different era with different standards versus someone that's now living in an era where we know you're going to be held accountable if you say something that's out of line or out of pocket? That's why for this video, I'm more so focusing on what I deem the social media era with music. The social media era of music was the first time we truly got to see our artists, not how the media wanted to portray them, not how the label wanted to portray them, but how they wanted to portray themselves. That was both positively and negatively. We got to see rappers that became corny like Game and Meek Mill over time, and we also got to see artists that helped grow with their audience and build a fan base because of this social media. So it has its positives and its negatives. One of the other main things is if you said something controversial, back in the old days, you would be able to like get away from the world, escape for a month or two, and then pop back up and go on your apology tour. Now with the social media era, if you go longer than 24, maybe 48 hours without responding, you're guilty by being silenced, you're guilty by not responding. People are like, where are you at? Everybody is on their phones constantly. There's no avoiding this at this point. So you trying to act like a situation or a thing isn't there only makes you look bad. So now when rappers spit questionable lyrics or say questionable things, they get questioned about it and they have to respond accordingly. Now questionable lyrics can mean a lot of things. It could mean it's corny, it's bad, it's controversial. For this video, I'm hanging more on the controversy or potentially being canceled type of questionable lyrics. I'm going to divide it into three categories. And these three categories are questionable lyrics that deal with racism, questionable lyrics that deal with sexual assault, and questionable lyrics that deal with tragedies. Now before I dig deeper into that, if this is your first time watching me, maybe after this video and the content I deliver, you could become a loyal subscriber. And by becoming a loyal subscriber, that means you turn on the notification bells for all my videos so you can like and participate in the comment section. What I want to know from you guys from this video, what questionable lyrics maybe that I didn't list that you've heard in the last 10 years. Also, while you're watching this video, is this your first time hearing these questionable lyrics or did you hear them when they happened live? I would love to hear it. And what do you guys deem the most questionable lyrics out of all the ones that I presented? That's what I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section. But enough of that, let's just get into this video. Alright, so questionable lyrics that deal with racism. Like I said, this is going to be more so since 2010 on. That's what I'm deeming as the social media era. And the first culprit that we have is Iggy Azalea. The song on hand is her 2011 song called Drugs. So Drugs was released September 15th, 2011. In this verse, she says something that's very questionable. Let me just read it off for you guys. Iggy Azalea says, tire marks, finish line with the fire marks. When the relay starts, I'm a runaway slave master. Shitting on the past, gotta spit it like a pastor. When I first heard these lyrics, I was just like, did she really think that shit was gonna fly? Did she think that was okay? I also, in my head, I was questioning T.I. and the camp around her because Iggy Azalea is Australian, then she kind of transported to Atlanta. That's why some deem her a culture vulture because she wanted to take in the culture and then release her own music. Either way, you're around a lot of black people, so that means they probably heard you in the studio, heard you record it, heard all of that, and they allowed that to go on. And I also want to say, I feel like Iggy Azalea is really lucky. She also didn't release this song when it was part of the politically correct and the Me Too movement and everyone speaking out and speaking against things, because this kind of slid under the rug. Not many people talked about it. Like, yeah, I heard it, but I follow hip-hop. But a lot of people that didn't follow music or follow hip-hop didn't even hear about this story. Now, Iggy Azalea did not come out with an apology or a statement until March 2012. So let me read you her statement. So Iggy says, "Dear world, I'm writing you today to address a lyric I said a few months ago in one of my songs that I feel has been used to unfairly slander my character and paint me as a racist person. Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite artists and I love this song Look Out for Detox so much I decided to do my own version of it last year. The lyrics I wrote follow the original version closely. One lyric in particular has offended a lot of people and for that I apologize. The artist's lyric was, when the relay starts, I'm a runaway slave. My lyric was, when the relay starts, I'm a runaway slave master. Shitting on the past, gotta spit it like a pastor. master. This is a metaphoric take on an originally literal lyric, and I was never trying to say I'm a slave owner. The intent was to say that past histories have been mastered or overcome, and that you may feel my line was shitting on the past, just as many feel pastors shit on the Bible or biblical history. Although they mean no ill and just have their own take, hence the lyric, gotta spit it like a pastor. In all fairness, it was tacky and careless thing to say, and if you are offended, I am sorry. Sometimes we get so caught up in our art and creating or trying to push boundaries, we don't stop to think how others may be hurt by it. In this situation, I am guilty of doing that, and I regret not thinking things through more. I don't hate any race of people, and it pains me to wake up to other young people being misled to believe I do. I am for unity and equality. People should get a fair shot at whatever they want to do, no matter what color they are. Rap and hip-hop as a culture is not exempt from this. It is unfair to say other races who also grew up listening to rap don't get a place too. We have a place, and the Azaleans and myself are evidence of that. All people have a voice and equal right to use it. In your lifetime, you will say a lot of things you will wish you hadn't too. I have to have my poor choice of words live with me forever on the internet. Please know that I have grown from this and hope to have your continued support in life and my mission of bridging the gap. As one of my lovely Azaleans said last week, we are the prototype and far beyond the stereotype. Love always, Igga Monster. So that was a piece of crap apology to me. It's this whole, I get the Kendrick Lamar reference and doing all that. I'm okay with that part of the apology. It's when you wanted to flip the script and then you made yourself a victim in your stance of giving an apology about how you guys deserve a voice and everyone deserves a voice in hip hop as well. While I do agree with that, was that the time and place for you to be saying that while you're supposed to be in the middle of an apology? That's where I disagree, and that's where you're trying to get sympathy so people would feel bad for you because you're just, oh, I'm this white girl in the industry and now they're calling me racist and they're bullying me and saying all these things. I am not like that. I deserve my voice in place. Yes, you deserve your voice in place. You also need to respect the history and where it came from and saying things that are offensive, because what you said was offensive. You're white. You can't be saying the same things as someone like Kendrick Lamar. You need to understand context, and you need to understand he's able to say that, you aren't. And you're also very lucky this did not happen later down the road. You're lucky this didn't happen later down the road when, like I said, everything was more politically correct, because people would have not had that apology. That was a weak apology. I do not agree with that apology. Maybe you guys let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm going too hard on it. But the whole having an apology but also playing victim in the apology, I hate it. I do not accept those apologies. They're weak. They're weak, shallow, and thin. After seeing and hearing all this, I'm gonna continue not being an Iggy Azalea fan. If I hear her music while I'm out or some girl's playing it, then sure, I'm not going out of my way to listen to her. I'm not a fan. And how she reacted to this only solidified my stance for me. Now, this next lyric has always not sat right with me from day one, from the first time I heard it, because it came from an artist that I deem a legend. He was one of the first artists I've ever listened to, Lil Wayne. And the song on hand is the Karate Chop feature song that released on February 19th, 2013. You probably know the lyric, but still, let me read it off for you guys. So Lil Wayne goes, pop a lot of pain pills, about to put rims on my skateboard wheels, yeah, beat that pussy up like Emmett Till. I was just like I said, for the first time I heard it, I was like, bruh, are you calling Emmett Till a pussy? Like, it was just despicable for me. And it wasn't like, I thought when I first heard it, like maybe I heard it wrong. I rewinded it and I played it and I was just like, nah, bro, he doubled down on that shit. He really said that. And to me, it was just so unnecessary. Like, I know Lil Wayne's a punchline rapper. He always does these similes and compares things, but this comparison was not needed. Like, you use pussy for so many references. You have to reference somebody that us as black people look up to and respect because he lost his life tragically at a young age. Like, it was horrible, terrible, one of the worst lyrics I've ever heard, because just the context and how great of a rapper Lil Wayne is. You know, you expect some things from crappier, worse rappers, but from Lil Wayne, I was just like, bruh. So Lil Wayne did come out with an apology on May 1st, 2013, and instead of addressing fans, he addressed the Till family. So let me read it for you guys. Lil Wayne goes, Dear Till family, as a recording artist, I have always been interested in wordplay. My lyrics often reference people, places, and events in my music, as well as the music that I create for or alongside other artists. It has come to my attention that lyrics from my contribution to a fellow artist's song has deeply offended your family. As a father myself, I cannot imagine the pain that your family has had to endure. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge your hurt, as well as the letter you sent to me via your attorneys. Moving forward, I will not use or reference Emmett Till or the Till family in my music, especially in an inappropriate manner. I fully support Epic Records' decision to take down an unauthorized version of this song, and to not include the reference in the version version that went to retail. I will not be performing the lyrics that contain that reference live and have removed them from my catalog. I have tremendous respect for those who paved the way for the liberty and opportunities that African Americans currently enjoy. As a business owner who employs several African American employees and gives philanthropically to organizations that help youth to pursue their dreams, my ultimate intention is to uplift rather than degrade our community. Best, Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., Lil Wayne. Now, to me, that was actually a very sincere apology. You really haven't heard anything in Lil Wayne's lyrics or anything like that since. But there's also another side of the thing that we need to look at. And this was the beginning of Lil Wayne and some of his coonish and cooning activities. Because in the 2010s, Lil Wayne kind of showed that he grew up privileged. He didn't grow up like a lot of us grew up. Because Lil Wayne, like he said, he loves cops. A cop saved his life. He said he doesn't see what Black Lives Matters for. He's young, black, and rich. If that doesn't show anything, then what does? He says he's never dealt with racism in his life. Maybe because he's rich. You know what I mean? He's far away from us than we used to believe. And then he went and met Donald Trump as well. To me, it was the first instance in trying to figure out, man, Lil Wayne's cool. He with us, but he not really with us. You know what I mean? He's not someone I want to hear speak on deep topics or things about black people or anything like that. Spit your bars, spit your rhymes, talk about pussy, all that and the other, but I don't need you getting political or getting serious anymore, Lil Wayne. You've showed your true colors. It is what it is. You're still a legend to me. You're not canceled to me. I'm still always going to listen to your music. But please stop voicing your opinion on these things. You only make yourself look worse in the long run. Now, the next person on my list, he's the only person that's going to appear on my list twice. He's going to appear on this once for the racism, and he's going to appear in the second part when questionable lyrics that deal with sexual assault. You know, just a heads up, and the artist that I'm talking in question right now is Rick Ross. Now, this lyric that I'm going to talk about right now is not as famous as the other one. The other one ended up getting him sponsorships canceled and all that. I'll dig more deep into it when we get to that point. But yeah, Rick Ross said a line about Trayvon Martin that did not sit right with a lot of us. And at this time, I was listening to Rick Ross Tough. He's one of my favorite artists. God Forgives, I Don't is a classic. So is Teflon Don. Like, he was on a good run at this point. Let's just be real. So the song on hand with Rick Ross is off his Mastermind album that came out March 3rd, 2014, but you know, some albums they let them stream a week before, so people were listening to it the last week of February before the album came out. And this is when we heard this line that just did not sit right with a lot of us. Let me read it for you guys. Forbes.com, I'm the Teflon Don. Too close to a nigga as a motherfucking bomb. Trayvon Martin, I'm never missing my target. Bitch niggas hating, tell me it's what I'm parking. Yeah, so Trayvon Martin, it was just like not even 2 full years ago when that happened. So we all still remember Trayvon Martin. We all still remember what happened. We still haven't gotten any justice or anything for it. And for you to say that, like, I get you're from South Florida as well. Maybe you felt that was a reason that you could speak on it or something. But it just seemed out of pocket. It just seemed unnecessary. And yeah, it just really seemed unnecessary. It did not need to be included at all. So like I said, for me, is that a cancelable moment? But no, it should be a teachable moment, or it should be a moment where Rick Ross apologizes and he does something for Trayvon Martin's family to help, you know, litigate the situation. So let me read you Rick Ross's apology and then we'll dig deeper into it. So Rick Ross, you know, we're in that social media age. He responded that week with a response with the criticism. So keep that in mind. It's so important that today, on the 2-year anniversary of the death of Trayvon Martin, we never forget that tragedy. I'm never gonna let the world forget that name. In my song Black and White off Mastermind, I say, Trayvon Martin, I'm never missing my target. They are reminding people that if you're a black person or a person of any color for that matter in this country, you have to be accurate. Whatever moves you make, stay accurate. Even when you're walking down the street, playing music from your car, you have to stay on point. Black men are being killed and their killers are beaten in trial. It has been this much violence against black men since the 60s. I am Trayvon Martin. We're all Trayvon Martin. He was from South Florida. That could have been me or one of my homies. So stay alert and never miss your target. Whatever that target may be, getting out of the hood, providing for your family, stay sharp, stay alive. Trayvon, rest in peace. Now, while I may not agree with his apology, I mean, I will say Rick Ross has a good PR team, and even though he didn't make an apology, it was a pretty good statement and kind of understandable because, you know, he sees life differently than we do. You can't force everyone to see how you see or make you believe how you believe, but I do feel like Rick Ross should have did something for Trayvon Martin's family. Maybe pay their rent for 3 months, for 6 months. Do something because you brought this attention to them for no reason. It was unwarranted, and then you double down on it. It is what it is. It's a fucked up thing. You should have just never said it to begin with. Then you double down on it. And when you factor in the other stuff that Rick Ross has done in his past, we kind of do know Rick Ross is just not a good person. He's kind of a piece of shit. It is what it is. I still love his music, but him as a person probably isn't the best person. Probably isn't someone you want as a friend. Just unnecessary. Probably should have never had to even talk about it, but we're gonna dig deeper into Rick Ross later. Let's end it at that for now. We're gonna move on to this next person. This next one, to me, out of everybody that's on this list, this one was the most disappointing to me because one, he's a legend and probably the oldest person on this list, and two, he should have fucking known better. That's just what it really comes down to. Now, you guys probably forgot this song or put it away because it was so terrible, but you guys remember the LL Cool J and Brad Paisley song called Accidental Racist that released in 2013? You know, we had Tim McGraw and Nelly do Over and Over Again. We've had country and rap combinations that ended up well. Later on down the road, Lil Nas X did his thing, and then he had the remix with Billy Ray Cyrus. So keep in mind, Brad Paisley's a country music musician, and this is a questionable rap lyric video, so anything he said in the song, I'm really not going to depict or go into. This is more so focusing on what LL Cool J had to say when it came to this song. So LL Cool J had to say, if you don't judge my do-rag, I won't judge your red flag. If you don't judge my gold chains, I'll forget the iron chains. Rest in peace, Robert E. Lee, but I gotta thank Abraham Lincoln for freeing me. So I mainly want to focus on the first two lyrics, because those to me were the most out of pocket. I'm just like, did you really just say that shit, my nigga? And when you dig deeper into it, let's just, like I said, let's depict it. This man LL Cool J said, if you don't judge my do-rag, I won't judge your red flag. Keep in mind, a do-rag is something that we wear to, one, keep our hair down, two, maybe potentially get waves, three, whatever it is, it benefits us as a people and as a race. Now you're gonna compare it to a red flag of people that lost the war over 150 years ago. They only rock it to be prideful of being racist at this point. There's nothing that benefits them from having it, but you wanna respect the red flag if they respect us with the do-rag, and it's just corny, coonish, stupid. It's not a really great comparison. I don't know what was going on besides your head when this opportunity happened, but man, it was not it. And if you won't judge my gold chains, I'll forget the iron chains. So my nigga, you want to forget 500 years of oppression because you, not even every type of black person wants to rock gold chains or be able to afford gold chains, but because LL Cool J wants to, then let's just forget the iron chains. Let's forget all of the things about slavery because this man right here wants to rock a gold chain. You don't realize how stupid you sound, how ignorant you sound, how much you just want to please the white people you sound, whatever it is. You just sound like somebody who wants to be accepted, and you're willing to skip black history, skip all this black oppression just so LL Cool J can be accepted. And man, I can't vibe with that. I can't fuck with that at all. Then you want to say rest in peace Robert E. Lee? Why would you want to say RIP to Confederate that if he saw you right now, he would want you dead? He would not want you to rest in peace. He would want you to rest in piss after you were his slave for how many ever years. They would have won the war, that's how it would have went. But you want to be like, oh, rest in peace Robert E. Lee? Alright bro, bet, I see. And the thing that upsets me or concerns me with LL Cool J even more, he never apologized, he kind of doubled down on it. That's why I'm okay with LL Cool J never having to get on the track again. Just stick to acting at this point because this, whatever you thought this was going to be, it was not it. It'll never be it. I'm not going to say it tarnished your legacy, but I do look at you a little differently after this, you know. I expect better from you. You're a hip-hop legend, LL Cool J. You were able to be relevant in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s musically. That says something about you and who you are. So for you to drop this, it was just a slap in the face to me. So for this next one, I would put it more so on the ignorant and corny side than I would deem it as racist. It might have a little bit of coonish tied into it, but we're gonna see as we dig in deeper. So this one occurred December 13th, 2017. Big Sean and Metro Boomin dropped an album together, and on this album together they dropped a song together called Who's Stopping Me. And Big Sean on this song said some questionable lyrics to say the least, and it pertains to Rosa Parks. And I want y'all to know, do y'all think it's offensive? Do you think it's corny? Do you think it's dumb? My dog early telling jokes, man, I'm laughing at that. I had a dream I rode with Rosa Parks back in the back of a bat. damn. And he was blowing a blunt and she was packing a strap, like, damn, it do feel good to be black in the back. So why are you comparing a civil rights leader and activist to someone that's portraying a Bonnie and Clyde type facade? Especially when Rosa Parks is no longer here to be able to speak up or speak against this. And as you know of hip-hop history, Rosa Parks spoke out against Outkast, who actually was shunning her in a bright light, but she just didn't understand the music and the culture. So if she reacted to that, could you only imagine how she would want to react to being compared to someone that has a strap and smoking the blunt in the back? It would have not been acceptable. And as far as for you, Big Sean, you already have the label of potentially being a corny rapper. Now, to me, you're a hit or miss artist. Sometimes you're really good. Sometimes I'm like, did this nigga really just say that? But now you're back on this thing. I'm like, Big Sean, why did you even think that was acceptable? And people on Twitter were coming at him for a few days, but then it was already like looked past and people moved on, because this wasn't one of Big Sean's most famous projects or really had a single or anything like that to get people talking about it or buzzing about it. Big Sean released things that's for mainstream, and he also released stuff that's for his diehard fans. He has a good balance in that instance, and I respect him for that. But in this case, Big Sean, I don't know what you need to do going forward, whether you have someone review your lyrics or review something and be like, hey bro, that might be a little bit corny. Hey bro, that might not be a little bit acceptable. But I feel like if you did that or had someone review it and you just didn't full on go on how you felt about things, your music would be a little bit better. You definitely are talented, but you also definitely display corniness as well. And this was a big indicator for it for me. And I hope you've learned from it. I didn't really see an apology for it. If you guys saw an apology, please let me know in the comment section. But as far as I know, Big Sean said this thing. It came, it went, and yeah, it's just corny to me. What do you guys think? Does Big Sean's corniness outweigh all the good he brings elsewise with his music, you know, rapping wise, punchlines and everything else? Are you a person that checks out Big Sean's every project? You pick and choose like me? Or you don't even listen to him altogether because he's corny? I would love to hear that. But now we're going to be moving on to the last questionable rap lyric. And this one for me is more so towards the ignorance and the culture appropriation side than it is more so towards racism. The person that's involved is Queen Bee, Nicki Minaj. This song dropped June 1st, 2010, called Your Love. Young Money was on the rise to the top at this time. And this lyric, let me just read it before we dig deeper into it. When I was a geisha, he was a samurai. Somehow I understood him when he spoke Thai. Never spoke lies and he never broke fly. Now you might read that lyric and think there's nothing wrong with that. But if you were of the Asian culture, you would understand why there's something wrong with that. It's ignorant. Nicki Minaj has essentially combined Japanese culture with Thai culture to make this lyric work, and that's ignorance. And for someone like us as black people, that we get mad when people culturally appropriate our culture wrong and use it ignorantly, we can't be hypocrites and do that to other people. Now, Nicki Minaj and Young Money were on the rise to the top, so she had all these people that were probably able to look over it. They didn't spend that extra 2 to 5 minutes researching to realize, hey, these are two different cultures, maybe we shouldn't combine them to make this lyric work. And instead, they chose to accept the ignorance, and that's what they made the song with. Nicki Minaj never released an apology. This was before the Me Too movement and everything like that. But I did want to highlight this because it just goes to show that I don't think it's right to culturally appropriate anything. If you're going to use something from a different culture, understand it, research it, and learn it to actually use it in the song correctly, which Nicki Minaj did not do with this. It is what it is when it comes to this instance, but I did want to shine some light on it and let people know that she was a little bit ignorant with this line. So those were all the questionable lyrics that dealt with racism or was a little bit coonish or somewhat ignorant when it ties to race. Now we're going to move on to questionable lyrics that deal with sexual assault. And I just want to let you guys know right now, I will not be using the R word. You know what the R word is. I'm not trying to get this video taken down. I just don't like using that word in general. So if you ever see it or if it gets discussed, I will be saying R word for it. Now let's dig deeper into it. So now let's talk about the questionable lyrics that deal with sexual assault. And as you remember earlier in the video, I said somebody was going to appear in this video twice. Now it's his time to come back again. And that person is Rick Ross. This one, out of all the ones that are on this list, I feel like this is probably the most popular one because this is the first time to me where I saw people were really getting canceled for a lyric. Let's just read the lyric to refresh some of your guys' minds. So this is off the song You Don't Even Know, which Rocco released March 5th, 2013, featuring Rick Ross on it. And on this song, Rick Ross said the following: "Put Molly all in her champagne, she ain't even know it. I took her home and I enjoyed that. She ain't even know it. So that's the definition of the date R word, bro. Like, you're taking advantage of women. They don't even know what's going on. They get home, they're feeling a certain type of way because of what you just put in her drink, and then you get to have what you wanted to have, and it's just disgusting. This was up there when I heard this lyric. I'm like, he really said that on the song? Not only that, on a song that was released to the general public, it was just, I don't know, bro. When I really just heard it, I was like, nothing crosses my mind that might just be the date R word. And like I said earlier, Rick Ross, after this transpired, Reebok took away their sponsorship from him. He definitely had to come out with an apology. So apology came out April 12th, 2013. I will also say Rick Ross is lucky this did not drop during the Me Too movement, because if it did, I don't think his career would have survived it. The outrage would have been even higher, especially when women were coming out with their sexual allegations and everything that happened to them. They see that, they're experiencing their thing, and then Rick Ross says that, boom, nah, we ain't fucking with you, Rick Ross. But this happened in 2013, before all of that transpired. So yeah, let me read you Rick Ross's apology that came out on April 12th, 2013. So like a month and a week after the song was released. Rick Ross says, "Before I'm an artist, I am a father, a son, and a brother to some of the most cherished women in the world. So for me to suggest in any way that harm and violation be brought to a woman is one of my biggest mistakes and regrets. As an artist, one of the most liberating things is being able to paint pictures with my words. But with that comes a great responsibility. And most recently, my choice of words was not only offensive, it does not reflect my true heart. And for this, I apologize. To every woman that has felt this sting of abuse, I apologize. I recognize that as an artist, I have a voice, and with that, the power of influence. To the young men who listen to my music, please know that using a substance to rob a woman of her right to make a choice is not only a crime, it's wrong, and I do not encourage it. To my fans, I also apologize if I have disappointed you. I can only hope that this sparks a healthy dialogue and that I can contribute to it." As I said before, power to whoever Rick Ross PR team, because they're pretty good at their job. But even with a great PR team, there's a cause and effect for everything. Rick Ross lost that Reebok sponsorship. So he lost that Reebok sponsorship, he lost respect from a lot of people. And as for me, after he dropped that lyric, looking back, should I probably stop actively listening to his music and not giving Rick Ross a chance anymore? Probably. Obviously, I'm not the same person that I am today, but yeah, Rick Ross is definitely a scumbag. This isn't something you can just apologize and act like it's gonna go away. If I was a woman, I would never feel comfortable being in a one-on-one situation with Rick Ross ever again. I wouldn't want my mom or sister to be around him. I wouldn't want my best friends to be around him. You showed your true colors, you showed who you are. Trying to double back on it and apologize after the fact, it only does so much. He lied about being a correctional officer, he brought up the Trayvon Martin thing, now he's putting Molly in girls' champagne. All of these underlying factors, Rick Ross, good artist, but also Rick Ross, terrible person. They both can go hand in hand. At the end of the day, I let people have their moral compass. If you want to listen to terrible people because they make good music, that's fine. Everyone has their line where they draw it. Mine is drawn at R. Kelly. You know, I can't listen to his music anymore. Since Rick Ross has never been in a situation or had that talked about yet, I'll still listen to it, but I don't respect him the same. I don't look at him the same. And if there's anything else that goes on it, then I'm done with him. And lastly, I just want to reiterate, Rick Ross is lucky this did not happen during the Me Too movement, or otherwise he might not have been able to recover from it. Now this next artist, I don't know if his career got affected by this situation. I don't know if it's his label. I don't know if it's Young Thug. It might be a mix of all of it, but who I'm talking about right now is Rich Homie Quan. So the song in question is I Made It, which is a Rich Homie Quan song that features Young Thug. It came out September 29th, 2014. So in this song, Rich Homie Quan definitely says a lyric that is of the R word. There really is no other way to go about it. Let me just read it for you guys and then we could dig deeper into it. So Rich Homie Quan says, "I don't want your hoe, just want that cookie from her. She tried to resist, so I took it from her. How are you gonna tell me no? You must not know who I am." So not only was that lyric R-worthy, it was entitlement, narcissism. Oh, you don't know who I am, so I'm just gonna take it from you. Like, everything about that was despicable. It's a lot of the things that women speak about how men handle things, and they're just like, oh, I'm someone famous and you just gotta accept it and deal with it. When that's not cool, just because you're famous doesn't mean every girl wants to sleep with you, my dude. Like, I don't know what made you come up with this idea. There's just no way to defend this. This honestly really is a cancelable moment, and let's see what Rich Homie Quan really had to say. Now let me just read it off for you guys. The song was not lyrically what I wanted to say and was not completed, he said in his statement. Without my knowledge, there was a studio leak of the recording. I apologize that it's out and I've asked my lawyer to pursue a cease and desist on the song immediately. To be clear, I would never condone the R word. You say you never condone the R word, but literally those lyrics are the definition of the R word. And even if it was unreleased, that's not a lyric that should ever even be written down on the pen and paper. Not only that it was written down on the pen and paper, it survived your rough draft, it survived your final draft, it survived how many times you recorded it, then it became an unreleased track. I don't even know if I honestly believe that. I just believe that's what you're trying to do to save face. Either way, it's the same thing as Rick Ross for me. It's somebody showing their true colors. If you're a woman, you should not be around Rich Homie Quan, especially one-on-one. It's not someone you should trust. He showed that he's a despicable person willing to take advantage of a situation because he's famous. If you want to choose to accept his apology, that's up to you. But there's certain things that you can and cannot say, even if it was a unreleased track, got out, and how long it took for you from when the song came out to the apology. That's how I know you're trying to figure out the best way to act like you didn't really want to say that, but we know that's probably what you really wanted to say. And as a result, Rich Homie Quan, who was really big in the early 2010s, has not had the career many of us thought. I wonder, like I said earlier, how much does that tie into the label? How much does that tie into Young Thug? And how much does that tie into this situation here? So now this last one, I want to put some context into it. Not that I'm condoning anything that he said in the past or making it acceptable. I just like to give a background or give a little bit of context. And the person I'm talking about is Tyler, the Creator from Odd Future. Now, when Odd Future came out, they were literally out there to cause a reaction, to piss off old people. They even said specifically old white people. They wanted to get a reaction out of you. They wanted to piss you off, kill people, fuck school. Like, whatever they said, it was outrageous and it was meant to get a reaction. Now, Tyler, the Creator, who he was in the early 20s isn't who he is as today. He's matured, but even if you do mature, you can't escape your past. So on Tyler, the Creator's second album, Goblin, which came out May 10th, 2011, he released a song called Troncat. And on this song, Troncat, that's where, to me, he released his most questionable and most offensive lyric that he's ever released. Let me just read the lyric and then we'll dig deeper into it. So Tyler, the Creator goes, victim, victim, honey, you're my fifth one. Honey, on that taco when I stuff you in my system. R-word, a pregnant bitch, and tell my friends I had a threesome. Even when I first heard that lyric, because I was a die-hard Tyler, the Creator fan, I listened to the album when it first dropped. I was all in on Odd Future at that time. Even when I first heard that lyric, I was like, could really just say that shit? And yes, he did. Is Tyler, the Creator, the type of person that's going to apologize or come back on what he said? No, he's not. Is Tyler, the Creator, the type of person that's going to be canceled by his fan? No, he's not. Is Tyler, the Creator, that's going to be canceled by the general public? They tried to, but he has such diehard fans that they just look past it and they're like, no, you can't. But Tyler, the Creator was actually held accountable for this. It wasn't held accountable in the US. When it came to the United Kingdom, Tyler was banned from performing for over 5 years, from August 2015 all the way into 2019, when the prime minister that banned him finally resigned, and the one after him allowed Tyler to come back, and he did shows. But yeah, for 5 years, Tyler, the Creator, was not allowed in the United Kingdom for what his lyrics are. To them, he's a bad influence, he's inciting violence, he's inciting whatever it was. Tyler, the Creator was not someone that UK wanted to represent. That was the repercussions that Tyler, the Creator, had to deal with from these Troncat lyrics. From all three of these rappers, like I've said before, they are lucky they did not release this or come out with this during the Me Too movement, because people would have not been having it. They probably would have potentially either lost more sponsorships, been canceled altogether, or never even seen the light of day. Whatever it was. That's why talking about sexual assault or even joking about it, bringing it up, is not cool. Let's respect people, let's respect women, and hopefully music has gotten better and learned from this and doesn't continue to do this going forward. But unfortunately, we still have some more questionable lyrics to discuss, and these questionable lyrics deal with tragedies. So when I talk about tragedies, I'm talking about innocent people losing their lives, whether that's 9/11, Virginia Tech shooting, Boston bombing, things like that. Just to give give you guys some context and understanding. Also, when I made this video, I was mainly going to focus on 2010 to present, but there's one exception that I had to, because it dealt with 9/11 and it dropped not even a year after 9/11 dropped, so it was kind of controversial. I don't think a lot of people know it like they should. The people that are coming into question is the Diplomats, and in particular of the Diplomats, I'm talking about Joel Santana. And the song that I'm talking about is I Love You. It came out in 2002, and before talking more about it, let's just read the lyric and then we'll dig deeper into it. So Joel Santana says, I worship the prophet, the great Muhammad Omar Atad, for his courage behind the wheel of the plane reminds me when I was Dylan Kane. So he wasn't saying he respected or looked up to them. Mainly what Joel Santana was trying to say is he understood the courage of the guy that bombed the 9/11, because he has to have that courage dealing cocaine. He has to worry about losing his life or someone taking his life and all of that. So he understood his courage. That was the context he was trying to say, but also 9/11 just happened not even a year ago, so to some people, no matter what, that's a red flag and it's going to incite people to be upset. If you don't know who Dipset is, they are definitely not the type of people that's going to back up on what they say. They're more than likely to double down because they are who they are. Either you accept it or you don't. Now, with that context in mind, let me read you what Joel Santana had to say. Santana says he does not regret the line and insists he simply admires the courage of Ada. I feel my diplomats on my team and I'm going to do whatever it takes for them, for my people, the same way as he did for his people. Not that I support him what he did, but in order for him to do that, it had to take courage and love for what he believed in. A lot of New York people don't have that. Maybe if they did, something like that wouldn't happen. Santana said people are willfully misinterpreting the lyric in a bid to paint him as a supporter of terrorism. I never said I worshipped him. I said I worshipped his courage, he said. It had nothing to do with 9/11 or me supporting them, because I know people in the towers too. If you really listen to the song, it was talking about that in the whole situation. No matter what anybody says, that was courage right there. If anybody wants to say I worship them, well, I know how I feel. I don't worship them. I don't appreciate anything they ever did. I'm not with them, not 1%, not 2%, not 10%. But I've looked in a dictionary and I've defined the word courage. Santana added that as the first anniversary of the terrorist strikes approaches, people should not be focusing on this lyric but asking why the attacks happened at all. Why did that happen? Why did that happen on September 11th? That is my question, he said. If that had never happened, I would have never been able to sing that. It's because the United States have been going over there trespassing, stealing their stuff. Now they're making it seem like they came over here and bombed us for nothing. How did the United States let this happen? How can you talk about my words when the big question is how can you let this happen? Santana said he doesn't feel any backlash to his lyric will damage their career, and he insists he will not withdraw the lyric from the album. If Eminem can get away with the things he does, then I can get away with what I do. And to be honest, I really don't think I did anything wrong. It's not like I'm coming out speaking out all the time about the Taliban. What I do is music. It's words coming out of my mouth. That was one sentence. You understand? Whew. Now, Joel Santana definitely had a lot to say and there was a lot to dig in. This might be a little bit controversial, but I'm tending to agree with him. But I also will say that he should have just never probably said it at all. I do understand his correlation, but it goes back to the Rick Ross and Trayvon Martin situation. He should have just never said it to begin with. But also, Joel Santana and Dipset are type of people, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. He explained why he said it. All he did was compare the courage of each other, and he's saying that he has that courage. And then when he started twisting in, talking about the United States and Eminem, he made a valid point. United States agenda, they really wanted to make it like this happened for no reason. They attacked us for no reason. When we know that's not the true culprit, and when we know that's not the true reason or why that transpired. And then also, Eminem was talking about killing his wife, killing people, whatever it was. Eminem had free reigns to say whatever the fuck he wanted. So to a black man and other people, when they're being questioned for the lyrics and they see this guy and they see Eminem who's able to get away with whatever, they're gonna feel a certain type of way and double down on it. So that's why when you understand context, the error and everything in it, I can relate to Joel Santana more than I would a Rick Ross or what's going on. Different time periods lead to different contexts and lead to different things. Because if it was acceptable when he said it, then it shouldn't be unacceptable when someone else says it. Just because it's a tragedy that insults you, that's the era that they were in. I hope everyone understands that. Like I said, if it was me, I would have just never said it, but Joel Santana is Joel Santana, and that's why Dipset is Dipset, and that's why that trend. So for the next one, we're going to be dealing with the Boston Marathon Massacre, and that occurred on April 15th, 2013. And during that, 3 people tragically passed away. It was a really sad day for America. People that were just trying to get their fitness on and do better for themselves were potentially injured or lost their lives. It was a sad day in America. So then we're going to fast forward to October 7th, 2013. And I don't know if you guys know who Flatbush Zombies are. They're pretty big in New York. They're a group that I listen to a lot. I enjoy them. They're not mainstream, so that's why maybe this just never came out to the limelight or to a higher extent. But not even a full year later, Flatbush Zombies releases on a song called Death. They're gonna say there's really questionable lyrics. So let me read this lyric for you guys and then we'll dig into it. So they go, zombies blowing up like the Boston Marathon boom. What? Too soon? Opposite a late bloom. Meechy dark. Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with the New York and Boston beef, if they just wanted to be unnecessary, they wanted to get a reaction on people, a rise out of people, whatever it was. It just seemed like they did it in poor taste, and that's what it really boils down to. It was so... Even the lyric itself, it's just like it just seemed like he was saying that to get a reaction and piss off Boston people and whatnot, and I don't really vibe with that. Am I still gonna listen to Flatbush Zombies? Of course, but that is a dickhead move. It's not a cool move. It's a dickhead move. It's not even something I'm like, man, you're so edgy, bro. Like, I'm so proud of you. Like, well, I don't know what they really thought they were trying to get out of it. Luckily, nothing transpired. They weren't really canceled from it or whatnot. Because like I said, I really like Flashbook, but this was just a dumb move. It wasn't even a full year removed from it. Let those people rest in peace and then talk about something else. I understand the song's called Death. Maybe that's why you wanted to bring it up, because it was still fresh. Either way, completely unnecessary. Never need to be added. But I wanted to let people know that that was said. So this next one's going to be dealing with the Virginia Tech shooting. If you don't know about that, that occurred in 2007. 32 people lost their lives. The shooter was of Asian descent. So the artist in question that has a lyric that pertains to this is Childish Gambino. It's off the Camp album, the song Backpackers, that released November 15th, 2011. But let me give you guys some context on Childish Gambino at this time. So Childish Gambino was a comedian, he was a writer, he was an actor. Now he's digging into rapping. A lot of people didn't know if he was taking it serious. They didn't know if he was just trying to do this to uplift his career and other things, if he's trying to be serious with his craft or whatnot. And judging by some of his punchlines and some of his bars, it was understandable why people did look at it this way. But as Childish Gambino's music improved and progressed, from him on Camp to royalty to because of the internet, it's such a flawless transition. He got better on every project, and that's why we have Childish Gambino who he is today, who's a jack of all trades that can do whatever he puts his mind to. He's successful with it. But let's go back into old Childish Gambino real quick. Let me read you these lyrics. So on the song, Childish Gambino says, I got a girl on my arm, you should show respect. Something crazy in Asian Virginia Tech. So like I said earlier, the Virginia Tech shooter was of Asian descent. So he killed 32 people and injured 17, so that's around 49 to 50. So apparently Childish Gambino's so crazy you need to watch out, because if not, she might end up killing 50 people. And this is where I gotta elaborate and think on this line. I just feel like Childish Gambino was trying to get a reaction out of this line more so than this being a really good lyric or bar. It was like, alright bro, I get what you're saying. It's edgy and thought-provoking in that sense, but when you really dig deep into the lyric, it don't make sense. So your girl is literally so crazy at any time she can kill 50 people, bro. It don't make sense when you really think about it. And if she is that crazy, then why are you with her? Whatever it is, we all know Childish Gambino was doing this line to get a reaction out of people. He got the reaction out of people. He never apologized for the lyric, but all Childish Gambino did, instead of that, he just got better, he matured, he figured out his lane, and he's staying in it. I'm glad he got away from doing stuff like this to get a reaction, and instead is just making quality content music. I'm all for growth and people learning from their mistakes, because to me, like I said, Childish Gambino on Camp, you hear some really good things, but you also hear some things that can be corny or thought-provoking, and I understood why some people didn't take Childish Gambino serious as a rapper at that time. So now the person I'm going to talk about is a person that I want to say, out of all the people that's made this list, he's the one that actually got canceled. I'm talking about Troy Ave. He was his own worst enemy. If you don't know about Troy Ave, he's from New York. He was gaining traction in the 2010s. He was a breath of fresh air for people that wanted the 50 Cent era of gangster rap music and stuff to come back, because Troy Ave was the definition of that. His first instance of causing a reaction was when he called Kanye West and Kendrick Lamar weirdo rappers, and we're like, at this point in the age, you're still trying to refer to them. Someone that's hip-hop and mainstream as weirdo rappers, you're a little bit out of touch. You don't get the sense of reality of what the world is today. Troy Ave was an independent artist. Joey Badass was an independent artist. And they both grew up in New York, so they both want to be the #1 independent artist. From both of them wanting to be independent artists, that's where the subliminals and the shots came. Now, Joey Badass sent a shot at Troy Ave on the song Ready. Let me just read you the shot. He goes, with the 80-20 split, do the math. My nigga Kirk Knight just outsold Troy Ave. Ave. So Joey Badass was just taking a shot and didn't say anything personal about Troy Ave, didn't do anything, just attacked his sales. So him as an artist. So Troy Ave heard that from Joey Badass, and then he dropped his own song on February 29th, 2016 called Badass. He crossed the line in a certain way that ended up being part of the reason his career flopped. So Troy Ave on the song Badass goes, Steve's burning in hell, my burner's in my belt. I'm really killing shit, you niggas killing yourself. Fucking weirdos off the roof, steer clear, yo. So let me give some context to that. If you didn't know, Capital Steez was Joey Badass's best friend, part of the Pro Era movement. I love the Pro Era movement. I listened to Joey Badass, listened to Capital Steez. So when I first heard this, I was just like, really, bro? And if you didn't know, Capital Steez killed himself, and he's, like I said, Joey Badass's best friend. So because Joey Badass took a shot at your sales, which had nothing to do with you or you as a person, and then you want to do a low blow and attack suicide and stuff, the context of it just did not add up. Attacking your sales equates to talking about suicide and all that. There is no rules in rap beef, but when you take it that high to the next level and the other artist was just doing what is considered competition. Rap is competition. It's okay to come at each other, but you didn't have to go at that type of level, and that's why a lot of people, when that song dropped on Twitter that day, they were roasting Troy Ave. ASAP 12, he had something to say about Troy Ave. Everybody and their mama was just like, man, fuck this guy. This is so unnecessary. Capital Steez was someone that was well respected in the hip-hop community. It was just something very deemed unnecessary. And instead of seeing all this backlash and being like, maybe I should reconsider what I just said, Troy Ave did the complete opposite and doubled down on it. So he called into Sway in the morning the next day, and this is what Troy Ave had to say. Troy claims that he never heard Joey's Ready, but that he saw the lyrics online and that opened Pandora's box, making it fair game to clap back with a no-holds-bar rebuttal. This is real versus fake. This is the dealer versus the user, explained Troy. I was like, I could bust his head or I could make a new song. Or both, depends on how I feel. When Sway Calloway pressed Troy about the Capital Steez comments, Troy was quick to stand by the controversial line, saying he didn't care who they upset. He didn't pass away, he killed himself. There's a difference. God gave you life, it ain't your right to take that. That's a fact. I got niggas in jail who got life sentences. They might as well be dead. They could have traded their life for his. Your friends speak to your character. I got friends that's killing shit, his friends are killing themselves. We not on the same level, don't play with me. So keep in mind the context of the era. This is, to me, was part of the Me Too movement. This is taking care of mental health, taking care of yourself. So people saw all this and they saw Troy Ave doubling down on his ignorance, and they're just like, you know what? Fuck this nigga. And that's how exactly what I had to say as well. That's exactly how I felt. I wasn't listening to no Troy Ave after that. He unequivocally self-sabotaged his own career. All he had to do was make good music, stay in his lane, but instead he wanted to try and bully his way into the game, go off the 50 blueprint, diss the hot rappers, diss whoever his competition, take it to the next level. But that's not the era of music that we are in now. So you trying to do stuff that worked in the 2000s and the 2010s is the only end result of your career flopping and not being where you want it to be today. And the only person you have to blame is yourself, Troy Ave. Maybe next time actually understand context and understand where hip-hop is at that time, because you wanted to bring it back to the old time, and what hip-hop does is evolve and move on, and either you get with it or you get lost, and you got lost trying to be the next 50. So the last questionable lyric necessarily doesn't have to deal with a tragedy, but it deals with people that deal with tragedies, and that's what I'm talking about in the military. And the culprit that is behind all of this is Soulja Boy. So on a Soulja Boy song called Let's Be Real that dropped June 29, 2011, Soulja Boy had some choice lyrics to say. Let me just read them for y'all. Soulja Boy said, fuck the FBI and fuck the army troops. Fighting for what, bitch? Be your own man. Now when Soulja Boy said this, it definitely had some military people upset. They're like, we are fighting for your lives and fighting for your rights, and this is what you had to say. But for me, as someone that can see both sides of the different perspective, Soulja Boy was trying to convey that there's a lot of people that join the military because they don't know better, they didn't have a choice, and he was trying to say, you know what, maybe you should be your own man and not fight for the government and fight for yourself. I understand where it was, but the delivery of the message was not there and not it. You have to convey your message in a better way to make people understand, because not everyone's going to understand the words that are coming out your mouth if you display it in frustration and anger. Now let me read you what Soulja Boy's apology was, and then we can dig deeper into all of this. So Soulja Boy's apology came out September 6, 2011, and the song dropped June 29, 2011. Just to give you guys the context. So Soulja Boy Boy says, as an artist, I let my words get the best of me. Sometimes there are things that we feel, things that we want to express, and when we put them on paper and speak them out loud, they can come out wrong. When I expressed my frustration with the U.S. Army, not only did my words come out wrong, I was wrong to even speak them, so I write this to give my sincerest apology to all of the United States military service, as well as their families that were offended by my most recent lyrics. As a young man who grew up in the post-9/11 era, I have watched our country fight 2 wars that seem like they are never going to end. I have seen thousands and thousands of our brave men and women get killed in battle, and oftentimes I think, for what? A lot of people in this country are struggling to make ends meet, and I think a lot about what if we had never gone to war? Where would our economy be? Our schools, our after school and work programs, our streets. I mean, damn, 48 people got shot in New York City just this past weekend in 3 days. I'm not saying that is because of a bad economy, but at a certain point, we have to take care of our own people. In no way would I ever want to offend those who are protecting our freedoms. A lot of people who come from the neighborhoods we live in no way do I want to hurt any of our honorable soldiers who put their lives at risk, regardless of how they feel about the 2 wars we fight in. I am just frustrated that we haven't been able to bring you all home quick enough, and my frustration got the best of me. I am deeply sorry, Soulja Boy. Out of all the apologies that were released, that was the most sincere and most honest. I feel like Soulja Boy was definitely frustrated. He wanted to convey his message. He didn't convey it in a well manner, so he had to spend some time and figure out how to convey it in a well manner, and he did. So a lot of people see what Soulja Boy sees when it comes to the military, and that you should fight for yourself or fight for your life or maybe reconsider or redo things when it comes to you or your friends, but it's how you say it and it's how you convey it. And he saying fuck it, nah, you should have just gotten a pen and paper and wrote it in a more compelling way. Now there's going to be a lot of military people that disagree with him, and then there's going to be a lot of people that agree with him. Part of having an opinion is understanding that people aren't always going to agree with you, but you could say it in a respectful way, and Soulja Boy didn't do it in a respectful way, and that's why he apologized. He's never done anything like that since. I agree with his apology and I respect his apology. So these were all the questionable lyrics that I deemed in the social media era besides the Joel Santana one. So remember what I asked you in the comment section. Was there any questionable lyrics that I did not state in this video that occurred in the last 10 to 11 years that you think should be included in this video? Please leave it in the comment section. I would love to hear. Out of all these lyrics that I presented, did you hear all of them when they first came, or some of these new ones that you just heard right now? And out of all these lyrics that you heard, which one do you think is the worst? But as you know, with Chris, I'm going to give you guys consistent hip-hop updates. That's why you need to make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell for all my videos so you can like and participate in the comment section. This is Chris. I'm out this motherfucker.